Hi, everyone, and welcome. We're so glad you could join us for today's webinar, an inside look at the new and improved Ren-Nu program. Ren-Nu is a science-backed, patient-centered nutrition and lifestyle program designed specifically for individuals living with polycystic kidney disease, also known as PKD. In today's session, you'll get a behind-the-scenes look at what's new, what's improved, and how the program is designed to support the PKD community. We're thrilled to be joined by an incredible panel of experts. Dr. Thomas Weimbs, a leading PKD researcher and founder of Santa Barbara Nutrients, Dr. Melina Messing, scientific director of the Ren-Nu program and a PKD patient herself, and last but not least, Kathy Jensen, MSRDN, Director of Nutrition for the Ren-Nu program. Kathy specializes in renal nutrition, diabetes, and metabolic wellness. Before we begin, just a couple housekeeping notes. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to submit them to the Q&A section of the webinar platform. We'll reserve time at the end to answer questions. Also, the presenter slides and other resources will be emailed to you after the webinar, so no need to take extensive notes. We got you covered. And with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Messing to get us started.
Thank you so much, Emily, and welcome everyone. I'm really excited to be here today to introduce some of the new features of the Ren-Nu program that we've been working so hard on in the last few months to really revamp everything and make it a new and improved version so it serves the PKD community even better. So for today's agenda, we are going to start with actually introducing the wonderful team that has worked so hard on revamping Ren-Nu, and then go over the just a little bit of Ren-Nu background, just to remind everyone where Ren-Nu came from, when it was launched, and some of the key features. And then really excited to share some key results that we have obtained from patients that have gone through the program already. And then, of course, we're introducing some of the improvements that we have made to the program and what's coming in the future for Ren-Nu. And finally, we'll end on just some tips that you can implement in your life right now to get started already before the program launches. And with this, I'm handing it over to Thomas, who will begin with introducing our team.
Super. Thank you, Melina. Appreciate it. Yeah, my name is Thomas Weimbs. I'm a professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara. And in my lab, we have focused on polycystic kidney disease for about 25 years. We also launched Santa Barbara Nutrients a few years back. I'm currently the chief scientific officer, and yeah, there's my picture. So you have already heard from Melina. Melina is our scientific director of the Ren-Nu program. She's also a scientist in my academic lab at UC Santa Barbara, working on molecular mechanisms underlying PKD. So she is digging really deep into all the the molecular pathways and so on. Melina has has PKD herself and has gone through the Ren-Nu program, so she really knows what she's talking about. We have kind of Melina's role on the Ren-Nu program is really to make sure it's a scientific program. We collect outcomes, we crunch the numbers, we publish papers, so that we have we're not just running it as a routine program, but we're actually keeping track of everyone's outcomes, so we know that it's working, number one, and we know maybe potentially what can be improved. We have then Kathy Jensen also on the call. She's a very, very experienced dietitian with a focus on kidney disease. So I'll let her maybe say a few things later. So we're really happy to have her on the team as our dietitian. Emily is on the call as well. Emily Muensterman is the Director of Clinical Research at Santa Barbara Nutrients, and really involved in all the clinical studies we're doing, and we're having a lot of clinical trials going on. There's one trial in full swing in Japan right now at Juntendo University that's actually testing the long-term outcomes of the Ren-Nu program in individuals with polycystic kidney disease. So it's a very large trial that will still take a couple of years to complete, but we have been looking at some interim data, and I would say they look really amazing. They will be presented at a conference very soon. Next up, there's Jacob Kingard, who is the Director of Manufacturing and Product Development at Santa Barbara Nutrients. He also happens to be a nutritionist, has a master's in human nutrition, and is helping with the Ren-Nu program. Currently he's putting together recipes and things like that. And the other Jacob Torres, is a researcher again in my lab. Some of you might have heard his name or seen his name on publications from my lab. He has really published many of the key results in scientific papers in my lab. He has been about 10 plus years as a scientist in my research lab at UCSB. And he contributes a lot to things like exercise and so on that are kind of weaved into the Ren-Nu program as well. Stephanie Smetana is our program administrator. So some of you that might actually start the Ren-Nu program will work with her to get things squared away and onboarded and so on. The additional members, and some of them are only coming online now, so we'll be very, very excited to introduce them later on. But for the moment, I would say we have a really terrific team. Everyone is very highly motivated, building up Ren-Nu again in a much better way, in a highly scalable way, in a way where we can keep track of outcomes and publish papers. Good. So why Ren-Nu? Let's see what's on the next slide. There we go. Ren-Nu was really created based out of the research results from my research lab at UCSB, and was a huge team effort, many people involved in those discoveries. Things have to do with inflammation, crystals, metabolism. One key discovery was that we found that ketogenic metabolic therapy is highly effective in polycystic kidney disease. So this was initially found in mouse and rat and cat studies, has since then translated into clinical studies. And some of you might have seen a randomized controlled clinical trial that was published about a year and a half ago, coming out of the University of Cologne, where we contributed to that showed really amazing outcomes. Another discovery coming out of my lab had to do with renal microcrystals. If you sign up for the Ren-Nu program, you will learn all about it and what that's all about, and how these microcrystals can be very detrimental to kidneys and worsen PKD progression, and what can be done about it. Good. Let's do the next slide. Just a few years ago, I believe in 2020, we launched Santa Barbara Nutrients as a startup company out of UC Santa Barbara. We created a medical food specifically for polycystic kidney disease that's called KetoCitra. And that is an integral part of the Ren-Nu program. So the nutrition and lifestyle changes in Ren-Nu are really kind of built around KetoCitra. All the rest of Ren-Nu is essentially working in synergy together with the ingredients in KetoCitra, and it's kind of like a package, if you will. Good. So let's see what's on the next slide. Good. All right. One thing to keep in mind, the Ren-Nu program is, I would consider it an educational program. So it's not really meant to replace everyone's own doctor. So patients in the program are still under the medical care of their own doctor, and it can be a primary care physician, it can be a nephrologist, it can be a different specialist. But that's very important that every participant has their own doctor still who can help with adjusting medications as the need arises and so on. The Ren-Nu program is not really a medical treatment that replaces a doctor. It's something that is there in addition. We really highly encourage all the participants to work with their doctor very closely and tell them all about what they're doing in the program so that they can get the maximum out of it. Good. All right. So I think with that, I'm handing it over to Melina. Is that right? Yes. Go for it, Melina. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that introduction, Thomas. I will now dive a little bit into some of the exciting research findings that have come out of the Ren-Nu program so far. That has been the study that I'm going to be talking about was conducted on over 100 participants that have gone through the Ren-Nu program between 2021 and 2024. And from a PKD patient perspective, I can truly say the results that were found are really, really exciting and really promising. And they have not just been presented at conferences, but actually they were just published in a peer-reviewed journal. So that's also really exciting and will really move this field forward. So let me tell you a little bit of what was actually found. So first of all, this is a graph that just shows blood ketone levels, and those are things that are tracked throughout the program. Each participant measures their ketone levels, and that allows us to see how well patients are able to stick to this ketogenic metabolic therapy. And we were able to see that they were actually able to be very consistent. So that approach really worked for the patients. And next, we also saw a decrease in overall body weight, but only in the sense of losing excess body mass, and not for anyone that was normal weight. So we didn't see anyone excessively lose body weight and get into an unhealthy territory, but just into a healthy range. Really exciting from a patient perspective, of course, was what we saw with regards to kidney function, especially eGFR, which is the filtration rate of the kidneys. Pretty much unprecedented. We saw that the eGFR actually increased by 6.3%. So for PKD, we know that we pretty much think it's going to be steadily going downhill over time, but actually doing this program actually overall increased the filter rate, which was super exciting to see and is really, really promising. But there were also other really awesome improvements that we were able to see. For one, individuals were actually able, some of the individuals going through were able to decrease or even entirely stop their blood pressure medications. And that's almost expected because the ketogenic approach usually stabilizes blood pressure, and that's exactly what we saw. And in addition to this, we had some self-reported items. One of them was kidney pain, and as many probably on the call know, that is a side effect of PKD, the kidney pain that I experienced as well. And through doing this program, actually mine and as for many participants, it went away, and that was a huge improvement in quality of life. And we also saw the same with headaches. There was a reduction in headaches. And finally, we also saw that other biomarkers, like for example, lipids, which can be a concern for when individuals do a ketogenic approach, but also potassium and phosphorus and bicarbonate. Those all remained stable. So we didn't see any other adverse effects from doing this approach. So overall, you can see that Ren-Nu has already had amazing success. And that's exactly why we want to continue running it and helping even more patients get to that really healthy point. And so, as Thomas already mentioned, we are also very interested in building on this evidence by using the program in clinical trials. Like he mentioned, there is already an ongoing trial in Japan, and additional clinical studies are on the way. And finally, we also, of course, want to expand on this evidence by and continue to analyze the data that we will gain from the Ren-Nu participants that are going to go through in the future. So when you join the Ren-Nu program, you have an option to opt in, sharing your de-identified data. And I highly encourage you to do that, because it is part of building this evidence and eventually convincing the medical community that this is a fantastic approach to treat PKD. So with this, I'm handing it over to Kathy, who will now share some of our exciting new features of the Ren-Nu program. Take it away, Kathy.
So why we're revamping? Well, we're revamping for several reasons, but one of them is we're in an environment where we want to continuously improve the program. If we have new research, if we have new knowledge in terms of nutrition or things have changed, what I'm excited about is the fact that we are on the prevention side. We are doing work that can help improve the quality of life for people with PKD, but also slow the progression of the disease. And having worked in dialysis, I'm super excited about that. So for us, and when you go through this program, you'll find that it's a great learning experience. It has an expanded curriculum. We have a lot of flexibility. The diet will tailor to what is your lifestyle, your preferences, what you need. So a lot of options there. We have a lot of tracking and professional support. We have an alumni group and data tracking, and then we can continuously update as the science continually lets us know what's happening. And so far, the science has been amazing. You want to go to the next slide? So, updated Ren-Nu program features. So we're launching with a special pricing of $950, and that's a limited time offer. So if you want to get in, now is the time. The Ren-Nu Academy can be done on your phone or in self-paced courses for your computer, through your computer. And the beauty of this is a lot of the work you can do at your leisure, your time, your schedule. But we will have also a rolling admission. So it's not like the class all starts at one day, one time, and you got to stick with the class. This is really based on a way that fits into your schedule and your life. But we'll also support you with live Q&A, one-on-one support, and a private peer group. So KetoCitra, you'll get 3 containers of KetoCitra, and that's included in the full program integration. So you'll love that. And by the way, KetoCitra tastes wonderful. There's a lot of nutrients and ketones and symptoms that we track and lab tracking. So we've done an exciting upgrade on all the many different aspects of the program. I am enjoying the heck out of working with this team. So additional cost to expect, you'll have lab work. We look for labs within the last 3 months. It's somewhat extensive in that we want to make sure that we do the very best we can for you. The ketone testing device is called Keto Mojo. It tests glucose and ketones. So you'll have that. Additional monitoring tools would be like a blood pressure cuff, a scale, a scale in your kitchen, a scale in your bathroom, those kind of things. So you'll have a little bit of extra. Honestly, you probably save money on food for the simple reason you'll be eating better, cooking home more. And so that's not going to be a big deal. Supplements will be as needed. We're not trying to sell you a whole bunch of supplements. It's what you need based on your labs, your life. You'll have the opportunity to meet with the dietitian 3 times, and that's a great support. But if you need more than that, then we can point you in the right direction for that. Groceries, like I mentioned, you'll probably save money on the long run with that one. So it's a 16-week program. Initially, for the first 4 weeks, you're going to be onboarding. And onboarding is a lovely experience of not being overwhelmed, but gently learning about the technology, about the tools and the resources and the people, and the staff will take you through that step by step. So if you're not a techie person, don't worry, we'll get you through it. And then the transition will be actually helping you with the education needed, the different components of the program, how you integrate that into your life, how you start to think about that in terms of changes in your behaviors. And then we'll get to the maintenance where things are kind of sailing pretty smoothly and it's working well for you. And then the adaptation part is, how do you make this a lifelong change? How do you make this something that is a habit? You don't have to think about it. You just do it. It's just so easy. And one of the things that I've loved about how this program has come together is I've been heavily into ketogenic diets for the last 4 years and have a great deal of research stacked up that needs to be filed. And one of the beauties of being on that myself is when you have a program like this, it makes going into ketosis and following a ketogenic diet safe, not difficult, not stressful, much, much easier than if you have to figure it out on your own. I can guarantee you that. So Ren-Nu is flexible, but lasting changes take time. So you'll have some time commitment, 2 or 3 hours on lessons, tracking progress, optional Q&A sessions, joining us for that. Daily, you're going to be thinking of building new routines, cooking more at home, weighing food, adjusting grocery habits, navigating meals and social situations. If you go out to eat with your friends, what are you going to eat? Do you take something? Do you make choices differently? So there's just a lot of wonderful, very valuable information that's not only good for you, but quite frankly, your whole family will benefit from this program. So back to you, Melina. I'll let you finish up the what's next.
Yeah, thank you so much, Kathy. So when it comes to the next steps, of course, we want to launch as soon as possible. We're not quite ready to name an exact date, but it's coming really soon. And that's not where we want to stop just relaunching, but we would also like to make this program eventually accessible globally by translating it into multiple languages. And with the platform that we are using, this easy translation is now possible. So it will be easy to expand. And of course, we're going to continue to focus on PKD-specific education and support, but eventually would also like to expand to reach other individuals with other types of kidney disease as well. And of course, to reiterate, one big component of this is the clinical research. So of course, one of the big next steps is to finish out some of those ongoing clinical trials, start the new ones, and get more data out there to really advance this into the medical space as well. And of course, the program hasn't launched yet, but there are some things you can do right now to get started. You don't have to wait for us. The first thing is start taking KetoCitra. It's a wonderful support for your kidneys, and you do not need to make any changes to your nutrition to be able to take KetoCitra. In fact, that's the whole point of KetoCitra, to be there to protect you when you can't always make the ideal and nutritional choices. So it's a great place to start. And yeah, as Kathy said, it tastes great, so that's an added benefit. And we mentioned that labs are a component of the program. You don't need to run out right now to get any of your labs done, but maybe if you haven't gotten your labs done recently, maybe think about that you might want to schedule that and check out the labs that we also post on our website. And speaking of the website, we have a very detailed, frequently asked questions page on our website. So if you have any questions that maybe aren't covered today or that come to mind after this webinar, you may find the answer there. But you can also always reach out to our team via email. And in the meantime, you can also join our Ren-Nu Facebook group. It's a great place to meet other patients that are on the same path as you and to meet us. And we also have already some materials out there that go over some of the top nutritional changes that you could start thinking about making that would be really supportive for your kidney. So after this webinar, we'll share all of these resources so you can get started and you don't have to wait. And with this, I would just like to thank everyone who joined today, and we're looking forward to answering your questions.
Okay, everyone, we are going to transition into the live Q&A. So thank you for your patience. So I will start reading some questions. So the first question that we received is, do you also track cystatin C besides EGFR? What are the results of this? So Melina, I'll hand that over to you.
Yeah, so it is part of our requested set of labs. Unfortunately, for the last round of data that was just published, we didn't have enough data to publish on cystatin C. There were some inconsistencies with how patients submitted their labs and things like that in the past. So that's something we really want to address moving forward, that we have complete labs and get an even more complete picture out there. And cystatin C, of course, is one of the really important ones. And we can't wait to see how that changes as well, along with EGFR. Great question.
Okay, I will read the next question. Throughout my life, doctors have told my family that age of onset would be similar to the parents' age of onset. As the youngest, my 3 older siblings have gotten to stage 5 kidney failure at nearly the exact same age as my father. Have you noticed a change in onset for participants?
I think that might be a good Thomas question.
Okay. Yes. Hi. I would say it's not written in stone at all. What the age of anything is, because I think it's in the power of everyone to intervene in time and do something about it. Of course, the earlier the better, right? So the longer the window is of intervention, the more chance is to have a stronger effect. So if somebody starts the intervention near end stage, then there's probably very little that can be changed. But if someone starts early on in stage 2 or maybe stage 3 disease, that's a totally different story. And it is true that nephrologists are generally conveying the message that PKD is a genetic disease and that there's nothing you can do, that diet and lifestyle makes no difference. So I think we have proven in animal experiments, in clinical trials, that that's really not the case. So I think that there is definitely hope, and everybody should be motivated to do something about it.
Great, thank you. The next question, I'm combining a couple questions. So when do we expect this new program to launch?
Should I answer? Yeah, so we're doing a beta test run very soon in, I want to say, like a couple of weeks or so, with sort of like people with PKD that we know and that are kind of friends of the company. So they will be hopefully forgiving for finding flaws in the program, which we'll iron out. And then hopefully I would say, I mean, I'm always pushing for faster rather than slower. So I'm hoping within like 4 weeks after the, launching those guys, to start maybe launching the first real people going through the program. So it's a matter of, weeks, I would say. But we don't have an exact date yet. So because if everything goes south in the beta test, that might delay things a little bit.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
I have another question. I've been taking KetoCitra since November of 2021. Would I get a reduced fee for the program?
So not current. That's not something we have right now. And the fee is actually already very dramatically reduced. So we wanted to offer it initially at an introductory fee, which is going to be a fraction of what it actually costs to run the program. So I would say now is the best time to sign up and start it, because I don't think it will ever be as inexpensive as it is right now for the launch.
Great.
Oh, and maybe just to re-emphasize, so the fee for the program, or the tuition, if you will, already includes 3 months worth of KetoCitra. So if somebody is currently on a subscription, they could just stop that subscription for these 3 months. So it's not that you have to, double up or anything like that. So the cost for KetoCitra is already included.
And also, we will have a alumni discount as well after the program. If you take part in the program, you'll get a discount for KetoCitra at the end.
Amazing. Our next question is, can you please explain the main differences between the new Ren-Nu program and the former program?
Yeah, I can speak to that. So we touched on some of those points. So one big change is that we have rolling admission instead of a cohort-based approach. So you can start the program when it's the right time for you. You don't have to wait for a specific start date, and then be restricted to that those few couple of start dates in the year. We also have changed a little bit of how the program is delivered. We have developed a e-learning platform that offers the courses in a way that is most convenient to you. You can do these courses whenever you have the time. You can do them on your mobile phone or on your computer, whatever works best for you. So we have really worked hard to make it really much more accessible and working for the patient. And less restrictive. Another really big change is, I would say, more flexibility with nutrition. We are including animal-focused and plant-focused foods. The former program was very plant-focused, but we're including everything and bringing some of the newer science in there about why that is actually fine. And this makes the program a lot more feasible to stick to in the long term as well. Yeah, those are like some of the major updates. Thomas, do you want to add to this? Did I miss anything important?
No, I think you hit them all really well. Yeah, just to recap, so it's rolling admission, which gives everyone much more flexibility. Start whenever you're ready. It's however, there's still the same amount of like time with the dietitian, right? So the same amount of one-on-one meetings with the dietitian. It's the same amount of group meetings. So the weekly group meetings are still there. We call them Q&A meetings, or actually we call them office hours. So it's a little bit like a college office hour, right? So when I'm a professor at a university and students come to my office at a certain time and ask whatever questions they want, and they come in groups and we have discussions going, which I think is really important. One upgrade, so to speak, is really the mobile capability. So the previous program was really rocky to use on a mobile platform, but most people just use mobile first anyway. So I think it's going to be much more user friendly in that regard. So just to emphasize that.
Well, thank you for those detailed responses. The next question is, how low can my eGFR be to join the program?
Yeah, we currently have this set to 30, but there may be ways to accommodate someone that is below this. I'll maybe let Kathy speak to this point specifically.
Like if you're at 29 versus 30, EGFR can vary and change from time to time. So it's not black and white. So that would be something that we have conversation about. If you want to do it and you're stable, then absolutely we can talk about it. But we had to have some kind of guideline at least.
Thank you, Kathy and Melina. Regarding labs, what labs do I need to join the program?
Yeah, it's quite the list. So we will have this actually posted on our website, and you can also ask us to send it to you via email before if you wish to do them before the program. I'm not going to list them all here, but it's pretty much the standard renal labs that you would get done anyways, and then some additional things like, for example, vitamin D and B12, just to really give our dietitians the best picture of where you're at and where you're starting, and then also see those changes over time. For us, like if you can get that whole list done, the more the better. We understand that there are some restrictions for some people. Again, this will be a personalized conversation. When you get to that point and you're struggling to get some of those labs, we can certainly have a conversation about it. But the more the better from our end.
Wonderful. And also, by attending this webinar, you'll receive an email with resources, and included in there is the list of labs.
Oh, right. That's right. We are sending this out.
Yeah. So our next question is, can you sum up the diet approach or philosophy of the program? What are we aiming to eat more of or less of, and why?
I can tackle that one. Ketogenic diets can vary anywhere from a vegan ketogenic diet to a carnivore ketogenic diet. And we're not advocating for either one of those necessarily, but everybody has an individual threshold for what works for their body. So we meet people where they are. If they don't like meat, then I'm going to help them work through that, and our dietitians are going to help them work through that so that they get the nutrients they need, they understand how to be in ketosis, they can be in ketosis, and they can meet their overall health goals. So we're not rigid in that respect. The newer research is showing that having more protein is not problematic. I'm not talking huge amounts, but I'm talking a very reasonable amount. Anywhere from 0.8 to 1.5 is a very reasonable level to be at. And the nephrologists that I've talked to have no problem with that. The other thing is that we watch the oxalates. In dialysis, I actually had one patient that was on dialysis simply because their oxalate intake was so excessive that it destroyed their kidneys. So we do pay attention to that. We do give you information on that, a whole list of things. And then we watch your different electrolytes. As you're going into ketosis, it's a change in your energy cycle between how you normally eat with carbohydrates and glucose and so on, So we're going to be changing you into a ketogenic state, which does require some paying attention to electrolytes, potassium, sodium, magnesium, calcium. KetoCitra is a huge, huge help in that respect. I can't tell you how much I've loved once I finally got my hands on that product, how much easier being in ketosis was. And to this day, I still use it. I follow a ketogenic diet myself. So living it, breathing it, feeling it, I think pretty much everybody here does. And so really, truly, it's got to also work with your family. You know, if you live by yourself, that's one thing. But if you have a family to feed, then we will begin to teach you things that can benefit the whole family. They may not be to the degree of where you are, but they will definitely benefit from the education, from the change in buying habits and attitudes and health and wellness overall.
Thank you, Kathy.
I would like to also add that one thing that the Ren-Nu program will bring to you, if you anything like me, you may experience like a lot of confusion right now going into the grocery store and trying to figure out like the labels and what's good for me, what's not good for me, what do all of these foods even mean. And so we provide a lot of clarity on this so that you're no longer confused, and it becomes really, really clear when you go to buy your groceries. This is a healthy choice that I'm making for myself today, you know, and that I really appreciated that going through the program myself, because I felt really overwhelmed before, and I got a lot of food nutrition clarity through doing it.
Great. Thank you, Melina. Our next question is, if we are already on the wait list, how will we be notified when we can sign up for the program?
Yeah, if you're already on the wait list, then once we have you know, completed the beta test and everything is up and running smoothly, you will receive an email with the with further instructions, which the first one being to fill out our form where you have to answer a couple of questions, and then based on that you start moving forward with our onboarding process and everything, depending on your answers. So that will be the next step. So if you're on the wait list, you're good to go. You will receive an email once we're up ready to launch.
Yeah. Great. Thank you, Melina. Our next question is, what is the best diet I can do until the program starts?
I'll answer that one. That one is pretty simple. Number one, cut out all sugar. All sugar. I mean, sugar, maple syrup, any kind of sugar in any kind of form would be one of the best things you can start to do. Drink plenty of fluid, water specifically. And with that water, add KetoCitra. And the KetoCitra, by the way, you can buy from the website, which is the SantaBarbaraNutrients.com website. You can order it there. And or you can go ahead and pay up front and then get your 3 freebies. I guess you could take it that way. That might be the better route to go. And then, you know, don't get crazy over certain vegetables that are going to be high in oxalates. And you can go to our website, the Ren-Nu program, and I believe it's listed on the website. So just don't go wild and crazy over those foods. Include them. It doesn't mean you can't have them. It just means, you know, be a little more conservative with them. Eat healthy, clean foods. Eliminate all of these fast foods and chemical foods and heavy laden foods with highly processed foods. If you have a sensitivity to KetoCitra, as somebody mentioned, dilute it. Just dilute it. You can take 1 scoop or maybe a whole quart or a whole liter or 2 liters, whatever. Once you dilute it enough, it won't impact you. So I think the key is cleaning up your diet, cleaning up your choices of foods. There's a lot of stuff going on around the world now about food colorings. Make sure you're not drinking things that have a lot of food colorings and a lot of additives. Start paying attention to labels. Start paying attention to what's in your pantries. So the simple answer is basically stick with good, clean protein sources. It could be animal or plant. Stick with plenty of fruits and vegetables, but go easy on the fruits. Not a lot of fruit, mostly vegetables. And green vegetables in particular, and clean food, plenty of water, KetoCitra. That's kind of the net of the simple version.
And if that was an overwhelming list, we also will send out a resource, as we mentioned during the presentation, that we already put together a guide, like the top things, 6 things to do to get started like right now. And that will be a really handy resource if you already want to start making those changes. In the program, part of our education is about how to make those changes then last forever and turn them into habits that will become really normal to you. So yeah,
great.
look for those resources.
These are all great points, Kathy and Melina. Maybe just to re-emphasize, I would say don't stress out. Food, nutrition, lifestyle, this should not be stressful. And that's why, the Ren-Nu program is what it is. It walks everyone through everything, explains everything. And it's PKD is a slowly progressive disease. So it's not that, something needs to happen tomorrow or never. So we have there's a good window of opportunity, good room for to play, so things don't have to happen overnight. One more resource is actually already on our YouTube channel, on the Center of Ren-Nu's YouTube channel, with something that I think is a really good video. The title is something like how to get the most out of KetoCitra, I want to say. So it's like a half-hour video that goes through a whole bunch of steps. And again, I wouldn't stress about it, but it probably helps to, start watching that video, reflect a little bit on it, and not really do all these steps all at once. That is stress again. Maybe pick one and work on that one, and then after a week or two, pick another one. So I would do it stepwise.
Those are all great comments and good points. I tend to get so enthusiastic about this. It's kind of like, all right, let's clean it up, and that's part of what is happening in America. We're seeing such huge metabolic illnesses, diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and we're focused on PKD for you all. But within that context, there's all these other things. So forgive my enthusiasm, but yeah, I think their points are well taken. Try to keep it simple. And then once you start the program, it is not overwhelming. It will go at a pace that feels reasonable.
Wonderful. Thank you. And like we mentioned, the resources, the guide that Melina mentioned, and the video Thomas mentioned will also be emailed to you after this webinar. Okay, next question. I completed the previous Ren-Nu program. Should I join this new one?
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say it depends how you're doing. Do you feel you have a good handle on, on your lifestyle, on your nutritional choices? Or do you feel that you feel restricted or still lost with making this a lasting lifestyle and habit? If that's where you're at, I would highly recommend to join. And maybe you learn about some additional new strategies to make this work better for you. That would be my recommendation. If it's smooth sailing for you and you know exactly what you're doing, you're very clear on your nutritional choices every day. Maybe another round would be a bit overkill, but can never hurt to learn about all the additional new signs that we're added, and then some of the ways we loosened up some of those nutrition guidelines.
Wonderful. Okay, I will move on to the next question. Do you offer a daily meal plan or any menus during the program?
We absolutely do. We offer recipes and meal plans. This is a big part of the program, so that you can follow them. There's no need to follow them if you have your own preferred recipes, but we definitely provide those resources, and so that you don't feel lost with what to eat every day.
Maybe one little thing to add is, I think we all like the philosophy, give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day, but teach a man how to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. And I think, yes, there are recipes and meal plans, but I would take them really as examples and learn from them and learn how to, how to then creatively modify them and, maybe start a whole new recipe along those lines. So I wouldn't say to only eat, what's in those recipes and never anything else. So I think that wouldn't be very productive. So yeah, just to emphasize this. So this is not the law. So the recipes are not the law. So they're, be creative.
Yeah, that's right. And they're really just for you to a starting point. I think for me, it was my own experience too that you start to just you get inspiration, and you learn some additional foods you'd never ate before, and then you start experimenting with them, and you come up with your own preferred foods, and maybe even great other recipes that you can share with the group, and then we can incorporate them. We're always also happy to learn from you and your experiences. So that's definitely a part, like the whole, like this food journey. But we will provide the starting point for sure.
Wonderful. We have received a couple questions just about KetoCitra. So I will ask these to Thomas first. A couple people have asked, I've been having stomach issues while using KetoCitra. Do you have any ideas to help me with that?
Great question. So usually KetoCitra is well tolerated by most people, but every once in a while, somebody might have stomach issues, gastrointestinal upset. And the most common reason for that to happen is usually if somebody has low stomach acid to begin with. And then, the KetoCitra can kind of push that a little bit over the edge and cause some, gastric upset. The best remedy that seems to work really well for this is to add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to the KetoCitra. So just mix up the KetoCitra just as normal and add a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar to it. Just normal in a grocery store grade apple cider vinegar. Mix it up and drink it with the vinegar. It actually tastes much better than it sounds. I think it tastes fine, and that usually takes care of the problem. But I would definitely, again, start with a lower dose, a lower serving size, and kind of like work your way up. Always including the apple cider vinegar. I would say in almost all cases that would resolve the problem. If not, it's always possible that there's some kind of a food sensitivity. Some people are, I know one person who's allergic to stevia, for example, which is a sweetener, the natural sweetener that's in KetoCitra. That can happen with any new food. I would first try the apple cider vinegar trick.
Wonderful. Okay, we have time for one more question before the... Oh, I do have a couple questions that came up about apple cider vinegar, so I'll just throw that back to you. Does that impact the effectiveness of KetoCitra? And then if I don't like the apple cider vinegar, is there any other alternatives?
Yeah, so it wouldn't have any impact on the effectiveness. I agree, vinegar never tastes quite nice. I would say it will probably, something like lemon juice will probably work as well. The problem is, too much lemon juice also comes with sugar that's in, even though lemons don't seem very sweet, but there's some sugar in it. But that might be something to try. Just, add some lemon juice instead of the vinegar. any other form of vinegar also works, just like white distilled vinegar, for example. I wouldn't use the balsamic vinegar, which is often has, sugar added to it, but any type of clean vinegar, rice vinegar, this kind of thing, that would all be the same as apple cider vinegar. I think most people just find apple cider vinegar the most tasty, so to speak. But I would experiment with that.
Wonderful. Well, on that note, I want to thank everyone today for submitting their. Oh, I have one more question. Oh, never mind. It was already addressed. So I want to thank everyone for joining today. I apologize if we didn't get to your specific question, but thank you for sending them in. You can always send more questions into our info account, and we're always happy to answer them. We are so excited to launch the Ren-Nu program, and we will follow up soon when you can sign up. So thank you all for attending, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Mm.